Hello, welcome to Sound and Fairy Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of Memoirs of a Spacewoman by Naomi Mitchison. This is a book that came out in 1962 from Foursquare. It's a classic sci-fi. I don't know where my copy went. I'm very mad. I've been running around my office library looking for the damn book, and I'm like, where did it go? I'm even looking right now, being like, where is it? It was on my shelf. No, it's not there. I'm at a loss for words here. Anyway, so I read this version of it. So this is one of my classic sci-fi book reviews. In this review, you'll get a small spoiler-free review with my horrid attempts at a spoiler-filled recap, and then my classic sci-fi bingo. So to get started, Memoirs of a Spacewoman is one of those books that must have been mind-blowing at the time, but today feels not only dated, but a little bit dull. What's it about? I have to go on Goodreads to get it, because I don't have my book. Mary is a communications expert, passionate and compassionate about the strange and often unnerving life forms she encounters on her travels to distant galaxies. Non-interference is the code, but her emotional and erotic entanglements cannot always be avoided, and scientific detachment is not always easy to maintain. Mary explores her own sexuality with colleagues and with friends, such as the hermaphroditic, I think I'm saying that right, Martian Vly. That's not what my back cover says, and in fact, I think that is a very misleading blurb, but anyway. The book is literally a woman detailing the various worlds she travels to as a communicator, which is someone who can learn to communicate with alien fauna. She travels to these worlds with various teams of people, and at one point she does get involved sexually with an alien. Okay. Now, if you follow my channel, you know I like to sometimes say I'm a xenoanthropologist. I want to know all about alien cultures, how their physiology impacts their day-to-day lives, and their vicarious quirks. One thing I'm not interested in, I will admit, are made-up plants and animals. I'm not a biologist. While I care deeply for animal welfare and the future of our planet, because I live here, I don't care about alien animals unless they can talk, in terms of them being interesting to me in a story. Obviously, I would never want them to be harmed, these fictional animals. And a lot of this book is alien animals. Frankly, I don't care about that. If you really love that aspect of sci-fi, I mean, great for you. That's cool. You will probably love this. But I was like, are we going to get any aliens? Now, Mary is an interesting character, not so much due to her personality, because she's kind of flat, but because she was a woman character written in the 60s by a woman, and who is career-oriented and doesn't need no man, except when she wants to have a baby. A lot of the book is her observing alien animals or reacting to situations she finds herself in. For me, who loves dialogue and character-driven stories, this really wasn't my jam. There's not much of a plot. It's mainly kind of episodic chapters about Mary visiting these worlds and trying not to influence them, a la the Prime Directive. The most interesting aspect to me was the idea of people not being bound by time or time dilation. Like the Forever War, which is a fantastic book, you should read it. In this book, if you go into space, you're out there for a while, plus the time travel back to Earth leaves you in suspension for about a decade or so, meaning you could come home and your 2-year-old could be 12 and then 24 when you've only aged a year. This idea doesn't have too many ramifications for Mary specifically, but it was great that it was addressed. I kind of wish it was addressed a bit more, but again, you can read the Forever War if you want to read about that. Of course, there are some things that were dated about the book, some bioessentialism generally, but for the most part, it was pretty progressive and it is enjoyable. I liked it. It was kind of I just kind of wish there was more aliens than animals, but that's okay. Okay, so now I'm moving on to my spoiler section. I'm going to basically tell you the plot of this book and exactly what happens in it, and then I'm going to do my bingo. So each chapter until the very last few are sort of vignettes of Mary's life. So the first one is kind of her studying a radial species on one planet and getting so involved in her research that she begins to think radially and it kind of messes up her mind, and then it's about her kind of coming back to herself. The second, there's a planet of centipede-like creatures. It was kind of boring. I can't really remember what else happens in that. It's just that Mary doesn't really like them because they look like centipedes, or as I call them, facilaries. Then she talks about having a graft, which is this parasitic creature that she willingly attaches to her leg, but it's not explained except that it doesn't work. I was like, what? Okay. And then there's the part from the back that seems to be the focus of the back, which is really just one chapter. So we begin on another planet where her spaceship gets into trouble. She's the only survivor, and she's rescued by a Martian ship. The Martians communicate via touch, and this touching leads her to get pregnant. We're not giving any detail into this. Like, we don't get a sex scene. We just are, it's just like, oh yeah, she's pregnant. I'm like, so the touching is okay. She has a half Martian baby named Viola who comes back to the story at random intervals. The thing about this is that the Martian that she sleeps with, Vly, he is, at the time that she slept with him, he was male, but the Martians apparently can flip back and forth their sex, and it's not gotten into really at all. We don't get any insights into how this affects their culture, really, so that was kind of a letdown for me, because I was like, that would have been really interesting to explore, but no. Next, she's on the planet with the Martian boyfriend, and he refuses in order to get to safety, and he's drowned. So that was fun. The next part focuses more on the ethics of first contact because it's about these caterpillars that were happy living in their own shit and making little patterns out of their shit. It was ridiculous. Butterflies would then come and harass them until they were sad, which made them metamorphosize into butterflies. So the team finds this awful that these butterflies are being so mean to these little caterpillars, but they can't interfere. And this part is laid on really thick. We do learn that interference with the Prime Directive means you're jailed on Earth, which means that you can't be an explorer anymore, so you're stuck in regular time, and that's kind of like the worst fate. So that was kind of the point of that. It's just like they talk so much about these stupid shit pattern caterpillars, and I'm just like, they're bugs. Then we get this long section at the end, which is about 3 or 4 chapters, where we learn that the graphs from the previous section that were not explained are like some sort of sentient meat slab, and Mary volunteers to bond with it, but eventually, like, again, she did this before, but I guess she's doing it again, but eventually it makes her go crazy, so she takes it off, and then she goes on more adventures. That's it. So, on to my classic sci-fi bingo. Outdated science, yes. The only thing, I mean, there's one thing, and it is an intellectual snap-on television game. I don't know what that is supposed to be. Like, is it like Pong, but leveled up? Like, I don't know what snap-on means. Like, it's so strange. But I'm like, I guess it's a video game, but it's clearly not it's not like the video games we have today. Spaceship crashing, yes, the one Mary is on at one point explodes or something. We're not really told exactly what happens. Social changes, yes. In this future, people only have sex to procreate. They don't seem to have it for fun or anything like that. But there also isn't marriage. So you think someone is hot and has good genes, and your guess, like, I guess I'll sleep with you so we can have a baby. But it's also not very clear. Like, this isn't really explained very well. Likewise, parenting isn't done by the parents. These explorers, like Mary, have babies, and then they just take off for years and let other people raise them. And I'm like, okay, communal parenting, that's cool. But what about if a parent, like, I guess I'm like, why have a baby? Why bring a child into the world if you don't want to have any kind of relationship to it? I just don't understand. That it wasn't really explained. Like, Mary's like, oh, I love my baby. I'm like, but you left. And like, I totally understand being, I'm not saying that obviously you can't have careers, but like a career where you specifically are gone for 10 years of the baby's life, from when the baby's like born till like 10. I'm like, what, why? Like, I can't even remember, but I think her daughter, Viola, does she die at one point? Or something happens, and I'm like, she's known Viola for like maybe 10 minutes, like her whole life. It's crazy. Anyway, I kind of wish that was extrapolated on a bit more, because it would have been interesting to see how Mary actually felt about this, because she doesn't really talk about kind of her feelings about not seeing her kids for 10 years. So, yeah. Sexy female scientist. Nope, no one's like sexualized like that in this book. Cool aliens. I mean, I would say no, not really, but they are interesting for animal aliens, especially the poo pattern caterpillars and the mean butterflies. Like, I guess that part was so strange. I'm gonna give it a check mark anyway, just because, like, it's wild. Ancient tech and ruins, no. Generation ship, no. Space soldiers, no. AI robots, no. New worlds, yes, a few, but we get less on the worlds themselves than the zoology, but I guess the zoology is part of the world, so I guess that counts. There's no cyberpunk. There's no blatant sexism. Now, there is a lot of bioessentialism, but the bioessentialism at this point is seen as like a good thing, like in the context of the book being written. Like, basically, Mary is a great communicator because women are naturally more empathetic and understanding and etc. So this is a bioessentialist idea that women are naturally this way. But in this book, women's natural proclivity to these things is seen as like a good thing. So the book is trying to say that, women, we should lean on women's strengths, but doesn't seem to realize that women, women are socialized to be this way. So anyway, that was kind of the thing behind it. Like, I think it had the greatest of intentions, and I think at the time it was really progressive. Reptile aliens, nope, there's no reptile aliens, unfortunately. LGBTQ plus, no. While the Martians change sex often, the book makes it clear that they only have sex when... The book makes it clear that Vly and Mary only have sex when he's in male mode. So you can screw an alien, but you better not screw a gay alien. There's a line here, people. Of course. She can't be having sex with a female alien. A portal, no. Microfiche, no. Male ancestry is a dick? Nope, because Mary is a woman. A very empathetic woman, apparently. Post-apocalyptic, no. Wild weapons, there's no weapons. This is a happy future. Everyone's happy except for those caterpillars, I guess, that are being tormented by butterflies. Racial equality, yep, there are a few people of color in the book. She mentions other cultures all working together. She does have a weird fetish for her one boyfriend, Togo Makasi, because she's obsessed with, like, his textured hair. I'm like, okay, problematic, but, like, I don't know. Again, for the time period, it was pretty progressive. There's other characters. There is a funny part that I wanted to read to you, but I can't find my book. So if I find it before I have to, edit this, maybe I'll read it and slot it in. If not, I'm sorry. It's on page 131 if you happen to have the book. Mind position, sort of, but not really. So the graph kind of makes her go nuts, but I wouldn't say that's, like, possession. Galactic War, no. Time travel, no. The Bechdel test, yes. This book is actually quite bereft of dialogue. Most of it's just, like, description, but we do get some between Mary and some of the other women. So I was like, oh, this is cool. In fact, I think women talk more than men in this book. I'm like, wow. For my quick bonus, almost. Alien human romance, yes. Female main character, yes. Derelict ship, so close. No derelict ships in this one. So yeah, an enjoyable book. I liked it. I thought it was fun. It could have been a bit kind of crazier at times. And it was a little dull, I just found, because so much descriptions about, like, just animals, like, I don't know, like caterpillars pushing their poo around. I'm like, why is this a thing? Anyway, thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments if you have read this and what you thought.